friends, if you have no desire to read Dante Alighieri's poem The Divine Comedy, watch this video. It is the story of a dude walking through the afterlife. Alighieri wrote the poem in the 14th century. The poem has been called a medieval encyclopedia of scientific, political, philosophical, moral, theological knowledge. The poem consists of 3 parts: Hell, Purgatory, and Paradise. To make it easier for you to watch, I made 3 videos for each part. This is part 1. Hell. For Catholics, the afterlife consists of hell, purgatory, and paradise. In hell are the sinners. In purgatory are those who atone for their sins. And then there is heaven. The story is told in the first person. It is like Dante went all the way through it. That's why I am going to be speaking in the first person. Sit back, grab some tea, some cookies, and let's go listen to some medieval bullshit. So, halfway through my life, about 35 years, one day I got lost in a dark forest. I was scared. I wanted to climb a hill, but a lynx, a lion, and a she-wolf got in my way. And then some ghost dude appeared to me. He said he used to be a poet. I guess who he was. "You are Virgil," I said. "I adore you." "That's nice," he said. "Come on, I want to show you something interesting, the afterlife. Do you want to see it?" "I do. Can I do it? I don't feel so good about it." "You will be fine. A beautiful woman asked me to take care of you. Her name was Beatrice." My friends, Beatrice was my deceased lover. Of course, I immediately told Virgil that I would go with him. And we went to the entrance of hell. Friends, according to Dante, hell is an underground, funnel-shaped abyss that narrows to the center of the earth. Above the entrance to hell was a sign that said, "Entrance, give up hope. Don't be afraid, boy. Give me your hand. Let's go inside." Sighing, crying, screaming, that's what I immediately heard in there. "Whose screams were those?" I asked. "They are people about nothing. They had no glory or shame in their lifetime." We walked on. Ahead was the shore. An old man, Karen, came up the river to us in a boat. He told me he wouldn't take me on the boat because I was still alive. "Come on," Virgil began. "What's it to you? Come on, don't be a wreck." "Alright, get in," agreed Karen. We swam. It was so scary that I fainted. When I woke up, we had already swum to the other side, and it was just the 2 of us. We went down into the first circle of hell. Here we could hear the sighs of babies, husbands, and wives. "Here are those who have not been baptized," Virgil explained. "I am one of them. Good people, but unbaptized. When I lived, there were no Christian teachings. We believed in many gods. This place is called Limbo. God did take some of them from here to heaven, though: Abel, Noah, Moses." "Who are these dudes?" I asked, pointing at the men who were coming toward us. That's the great Homer, Horace, Ovid. Don't you recognize them?" We all walked together, talking. I saw many ancient heroes. I saw the philosophers Socrates, Plato, Diogenes, Seneca, and other great men. Then we got into the second circle. It was already smaller than the first. And there was the moaning of the martyrs. Here, one ponytailed dude was deciding who to put where, kind of like a judge. "What are you here for?" he asked me. "Come on," Virgil started. "What's the matter with you? Don't be a sissy. Let us through." They let us in. Here were those who loved debauchery when they were alive. Then I blacked out again. When I came to, we were at the third circle. It was raining freezing rain the whole time. It is fucking cold. We saw the three-headed Cerberus dog. His mouth wouldn't shut. He was barking at everybody. Virgil threw some earth in its mouth and it closed. We moved on. In this circle were those who ate too much. I mean, the fat ones. And Cerberus was tormenting them. Before the fourth circle, the fierce Pluto stood at the entrance. Virgil told him to close, and we moved on. Here were those who spent too much money and hoarded riches, misers and squanderers, mostly priests. In the fifth circle of hell were the wicked and lazy people. A boat came up to us. We got into it and sailed. Ahead was the city of Deet. The joyless people are imprisoned there, Virgil told me. And that's where they wouldn't let me in, because I was alive. Virgil left to settle things. Very soon Virgil returned. He said we could go on into the city. Then the three fearsome furies arrived. Virgil closed my eyes so that I wouldn't accidentally look at Medusa. Otherwise I would have been petrified at once. It was already the sixth circle. There were graves of heretics in the city. One such climbed out of the grave, then another. We talked to them about life. With Virgil we moved on. Oh, it stank in there. Take your time, Virgil said. You have to smell it and get used to it. In the seventh circle, the evil monster Minotaur stood at the entrance. We passed him. Here were murderers and brigands, swimming in a boiling bloody river and trying to get out of it. We were carried across this river by the centaurs who were guarding the sinners here. Then Virgil and I found ourselves in a feral forest. I heard moaning, but saw no men. I reached out my hand to a bush and broke off a limb. The trunk screamed. Don't break it, it hurts me. Blood flowed from it. We used to be humans, and now we are plants, the limb said. Anyway, there were suicidal people here. Then we got to the steppe. It was solid sand. And there were souls walking and whimpering in the desert. A rain of fire fell on them. We continued on to the eighth circle, where the cheaters were punished. The beast approached us. I will go deal with him, Virgil told me. And you go talk to those guys in the seventh circle. I went to them, and they told me to fuck off. They said they weren't interested in my company. I went back to Virgil, and he was already sitting on the back of that beast. Sit down in front of me. The beast will take us for a ride through hell. It was scary. There is an abyss all around, and the beast is taking us somewhere. Anyway, he dropped us off and went straight on his way. This was the eighth circle of hell. It was called the Evil Shields. There were 10 ditches with cliffs. In the first ditch I saw a horned demon who was whipping pimps and seducers violently on their backs. Beyond the second ditch were the flatterers, sitting up to their ears in shit. The stench there was terrible. In the third ditch were the sinners who traded ecclesiastical positions. They were upside down in the pits with their feet sticking out from above. In the fourth ditch sat the soothsayers who had their necks turned 180 degrees. That is, they were crying their asses off. They were all mute. They had their mouths shut in hell. The fifth ditch. I saw a black devil running. Some bribe taker was lying on his shoulder. Again Virgil went to negotiate with the devils to let us pass on. So these devils also came with us. There were 10 of them. I was really scared. There were bribe takers floating in the tar. One of them was torn apart with his fangs. And then some of the devils fell into the tar. And they never got out. Virgil and I knew we had to get out of there. And the devils followed us. We quickly found ourselves in the sixth ditch, where those devils couldn't get in. There walked the hypocrites in heavy leaden clothing. There were snakes crawling in the seventh ditch. Lots of snakes. They attacked the naked sinful thieves. After being bitten, their bodies would turn to ashes and then regenerate again. Then the six-legged snake pounced on another dude, and twisted him so badly that he walked into him and became him himself. Ugh, that was creepy. We got to the eighth ditch. Here the sinner's spirit was inside the fire he was burning with. Odysseus was there. He told me that he came here because during his life he did not sit at home. He liked to go out with the guys away from home. Their ship sank at sea. The next ninth ditch was for the troublemakers. It's a real mess. Bellies ripped open, guts hanging out of them, skulls split open, dudes without heads, some missing ears, some missing noses. This is where the Prophet Muhammad was. And the last ditch, the 10th. There was yelling, cursing, and the stench of rotting wounds. Here were fakers, liars, slanderers, counterfeiters, alchemists. They were constantly itching, skinning themselves with their fingernails. Then two of them quarreled. I listened to them squabble until Virgil told me, "Enough already. Morons fight, and you listen to them. Let's move on." In front of us was a deep well, the entrance to the ninth circle of hell. The giant Antaeus lowered us to the depths of the well with his palm. We were in an underworld of darkness. Below us was a frozen lake, and into this lake the souls of sinners were frozen in. Only their heads were sticking out. Here were crooks, traitors to family, homeland, and friends. We were walking on the ice past those heads, and one of them I footballed. Accidentally. The sinner got indignant. Anyway, one word led to another, and I got into his hair. Then I saw one sinner eating another. "What did you do to him?" I asked. "I am the count, he is the archbishop. When I was alive, I trusted him, and he captivated me and killed me. My death was terrible. I and my 2 sons and 2 grandchildren died of starvation in a tower. The children died before my eyes, and then me." Virgil and I moved on. I saw another sinner. "I know you. Are you dead?" "Not yet. But my soul is already in hell. It happens." And then I saw Lucifer himself. His chest was sticking out of the frozen lake, and he had 3 faces. One was the face of Judas Iscariot, the second was Brutus, and the third was Cassius. Let me explain. These dudes are all traitors. Lucifer betrayed God, Judas Iscariot betrayed Jesus Christ, Brutus and Cassius betrayed Julius Caesar. That was the end of our journey through hell, and we hurried to the exit. Anyway, through the center of the earth we came out the other side, somewhere in the southern hemisphere. Friends, this is the end of the first part about hell. If you need to listen to any more of this medieval nonsense, see the sequel in the next video.